How's it going there, everybody? It's Mr. Zen over here bringing you guys a brand new CW series to discuss, folks. As the month of October is actually over, I finally caught up to the well-known series known as Supernatural. Well, technically it's season 1 through 5, but I think that's good enough to a point that I should say. I'm gonna stop right there, and I will like to express my opinions about that show. Because other than that, this show is definitely worth to watch. No joke about that. It definitely is one of the CW's greatest accomplishments. I know it's one of the longest running series right now as that I know of for like live action. Because I think that thing has like about what 13 seasons, 12 seasons. Like my God, I just barely got done with seasons 1 through 5. I could just imagine what the heck is going on for another 5 more seasons. My freaking God. But needless to say, though, folks, Supernatural, in case you guys aren't really familiar with, Supernatural is this story involving Dean and Sam Winchester on a quest to find their father. Facing off demons, ghouls, gods, and everything that spooks you in the night. Yes, folks, this actual show is really the premise of October itself. It really sells itself during October because of the fact that the settings and the type of stories that involve it around itself. I would say that Supernatural definitely beats the horror genre. It definitely does. It sticks with it and it actually masters it to a T that you're just looking at it like, oh man, this is pretty interesting. Oh wow, did this really happen to this character? My God. Like, it's definitely that kind of show that will have you just adrenaline pumped and you'll be itching for another episode for the first couple seasons. After a while, once the gods get kind of involved within the show, yes, folks, gods, I mean Jesus himself, the Grim Reaper, the archangels, Michael, you name it, folks. The biblical actual people come down from the heavens and actually get on earth. Yes, folks, they really do. But I think that's when the show kind of starts iffing itself away from its actual original storyline. That it kind of gets into that lore where like the main characters themselves become these two iconic people that are in that are biblical in a sense that they actually are basically destiny itself. They're destined to fight each other. Yes, like the two, if I remember, the two saviors are in the Bible itself. But anyway, the point is that the show itself, it really outlasted itself, I would say, in the first couple seasons itself. Right there. Once it got to season 5, it was like, oh, okay. They were fighting into like these enemies that were just proportions that they could have spanned these enemies into a longer series and kind of slowed it down. But you could tell that the CW was actually speeding up the process between the enemies, because I could tell that either the producers themselves or the writers themselves, they kind of wanted to end it on a very good note in a sense. And it kind of did. I'm not gonna lie, they actually really did end it in a good note, as Sam and Dean are constantly just battling themselves throughout the whole entire series as well, that you're kind of looking at like, you kind of feel sorry for these characters because they're going through so much. They actually have a rough child, even from the beginning of the episode itself. The first episode, you're witnessing the normal lifestyle of Sam, but then once Dean comes in, it starts like traversing more into like just how dark these guys, people's their past is. Like they were always on the run. Their father was never really around, which, by the way, their father, my God, he is also a hunter. By the way, they're in a group called like a hunter association of some sorts, where they all fight demons, ghouls, and the monsters of the night, which is very interesting in itself, because you're like, oh, it's like a secret society, but for fighting off the monsters to keep the human society at a regular basis. It's very interesting. Like I'm telling you, like I love the way that the story writers, like as long as like each season kept going on, you kind of saw like, oh, okay, they kind of start developing the lore within that kind of universe more and more, and expands more and more. I mean, granted, they do fight vampires and werewolves, but who wants to see that old cliche again? The producers themselves didn't want to stick with that cliche. They actually evolved so they brought everything from the book, from every children's monster stories to the Grimm brothers, like everything. Like they brought it all on to seasons 1 through 5, which is pretty cool. That I thought to myself that like this is very enjoyable. The cinematography for each and every episode was very outstanding. I personally love the fact the soundtrack was always on heavy rock and roll, which kind of goes along with the theme of of October, like the way that they're constantly fighting enemies, so they have like a rock and roll theme, and they actually have a lot of comical episodes themselves as we kind of saw in some episodes where they fight against I believe it was one of the angels, Gabriel, where he kind of sends them into TV land. And then they also have another comical episodes where they're involved with these ghost hunters, which it's just a huge pun on the way that, because of the fact that Sam and Dean, the main characters, they face off against these ghosts and demons and everything of the dark. But when they find these actual ghost hunters, they're kind of like looking at them like, huh, like who are you to tell us this? It's so hilarious. Like I'm telling you, the producers themselves, they really did an outstanding job for this series. I give it a grade A. It's worth to watch seasons 1 through 5. I guarantee you, no one will be bored. I freaking guarantee you, no one will be bored. And it was so funny because when I first started watching, I was kind of a little skeptical. I was like, my God, 40 minutes each episode? Oh my God, like this is gonna be hard to watch for 40 minutes. No, it really wasn't. After, you know, when you get in the nitty gritty, the story it develops really well around the characters, and you wonder, like, did the creators themselves really think that it was going to last this long? I personally think no. From my opinion, I don't think so. Just the way that the story was introduced, I don't think it was going to last that as long as how they kind of, the way that it was kind of like just written, the way it was during the first couple seasons. Like, they really could have ended it at any time whenever they wanted to. Because there's a lot of times that when I was kind of watching the show too, there was times where you felt that the show, it might actually stop here. And it would make sense if it stopped. Like at certain points when, I believe it was like the second season. After I think it was, during the first couple episodes of the second season, you kind of see when the father kind of like sacrificed himself in order to save his children. Like, they could have lived on a regular life. Like I said, there are many times where the main characters themselves could have a normal life. And the show also dwells deep into that as well as the lives of Sam and Dean, the main characters, where they want to live a normal lifestyle, but they can't because the fact that they're basically, their minds have been open to what really is the world outside, for what these monsters are ravaging around. So they really can't really rest. They want peace for themselves, which is very interesting against the main characters too, because Sam, it's so funny because the two main characters, they're exactly polar opposites throughout the whole entire series. You guys look at it. Sam is that goody, well, actually he was first introduced as a goody two shoes character, but he starts developing actually into a very how do I say this, not an atrocious person, more or less to say he becomes this type of person where he has a very dark past, and that dark past has developed him into becoming this heroic person. He's trying to get a sense of justice because of the fact that, you know, his past made him into who he is. I mean, he lost his girlfriend in the first episode, so he kind of starts going more and more towards, you could say, the darker side, the dark side of the Force itself. That's the way I kind of see with Sam's character. Like, he's not really a good character in a sense, like I would say a very major role of a protagonist. He's more or less to say like they're kind of like, not antagonists, I forgot what that term is called, where they kind of side between being good and being evil. That's the way I kind of see with Sam. Dean, no, he stays as the protagonist throughout the whole entire series. He doesn't really change. He does have a lot of dark moments. He even faced death itself, which is very interesting because the Grim Reapers themselves are also involved in the story. Hellhounds, you know, the Lucifer itself. Like, I'm telling you, all these major enemies, but Dean himself is the one that's always facing off against the devil itself and all these major enemies. The way I see with Dean's character, he really is like the major shonen hero. He is coming from nothing and he's developing more and more into a sincere person. He wants to live that normal lifestyle. Sam doesn't. Sam wants to live that lifestyle of hate and spite and destroy these demons because of the fact that, like I said, that's what you could say his piece of lemon pie that he had was destroyed because of that lifestyle. So he's going to stick with that lifestyle. Versus Dean, he wants to run away from that lifestyle and have a normal one because of the fact that he just wants to, he's tired and he wants to just rest. It's very interesting with these characters. Like, the epitome of these two characters also contrasting and developing with Bobby Singer, their second father, you could say, like a stepfather, even though he's just a hunter in reality. But he's been throughout their whole entire lives. That this character, if it wasn't for him, these two boys themselves really would have developed into basically murderers. Basically, if it wasn't for him around, these guys, with what they've seen through, they really would have been psychologically messed up in the head. Because Bobby Singer basically was always there to cheer them up and actually give them a shoulder for them to cry on, even though that, he himself has also faced off a dark past. Like I said, it's very interesting how these characters develop, intertwingle themselves. Even the major character Castiel that's involved with him. I see this character more like, I feel like the writers didn't know what to do with him, so that's why I feel like that's when they kind of sent him as being God at the end, was kind of like a slap to the viewer's face. It's like, what? You're God now? Like, even the main character himself were just like, what? You're God now? Like, the exact same words, which I thought to myself was like, that was weird. Like, so then who was God originally? Which then brings that question as to who was God in the whole story, which my personal opinion was the prophet himself. I think he was God itself. Because I remember some of the angels were trying to talk to God, but I think I definitely think the prophet really was God. Because if I remember at the end of season 5, it made sense as to why the prophet disappeared once they wrote the story at the end, and he disappeared. It made sense because he was God, and he lent the handle, or the mantle, I could say, for somebody else. Like I said, it's very interesting how the story develops, guys. But I would say that's about it. I don't really have much to say, but like I said, the first couple seasons are definitely worth to watch. I guarantee you, it's thrilling, exciting, and the brothers are always facing off new dangers, and every twist and turn that come out with every creature that comes out, you would expect, like, oh, I wonder how they're going to do this. Even the Four Horsemen, when they're involved in it, it's very interesting how they brought about these characters. Very cool, very interesting till the end. But let me know down in the comments below as to what are you guys' thoughts on the show itself. Like I said, I enjoyed the show. I'll probably watch more on my own time, as I'm still also trying to review anime. But it's, like I said, the show is definitely worth to watch. And you will love the brothers themselves. The brothers are always having fun. There's never a dull moment for the show. I guarantee that. CW's greatest show really is Supernatural. I could see that now. It really is. But like I said, let me know down in the comments below. And as always, guys, if you guys enjoy my content, don't forget to give a like, comment, share, and subscribe for more CW reviews, spooky shows, anime, movies, books, and other forms of entertainment. Or actually, let me know down in the comments too if you guys want me to review a specific show too at the same time. Let me know as well. But as always, guys, hope you guys are having a wonderful day. But this is Mr. Zen, signing out.